beginning, a chance to erase unhappy ending. When I wake, I can make 1,000 dreams come true. I can use my faith in God in everything I do, 'cause every day is new. Infinite paths to choose, the choices I make and the chances I take are based in truth, and every day is new. Every night when I go to sleep, my unconscious mind counts the blessings I reap. When I sleep, my thoughts seem to work themselves on out. When I rise to greet the day, my mind is free of doubt, 'cause every day is new. Infinite paths to choose, the choices I make and the chances I take are based in truth. Every day is new. I don't get caught up in trying to make life make sense. The price that it would cost me would be too high an expense, so I just pray and keep the faith, 'cause every day is new. Infinite paths to choose, all the choices I make and the chances I take are based in truth, and every day is new. Ooh, yes, it's true. Every day is new. Ooh, yeah, every day is new. Every day is new.
You know, this is such a joy-filled community. And it's hard to maintain that joy when you wake up to another mass shooting. It is. 23 people got shot last night in a gay nightclub, Club Q in Colorado Springs. And 5 people passed away. And so what do you do when you're in the midst of that, and you're in the midst of this idea of radical gratitude? It seems like these two things shouldn't come together, but it actually is a call for us to stand in the truth of who we are. I do want to do a minute of silence, and what I'd like to invite you to do is to cultivate a sense of love. You know, that waking up to a new day, that we each had an opportunity to wake up to this new day. And I want you to feel in your heart the love of gratitude. And I want you to close your eyes and send it to every single person that is touching. All the people in Colorado Springs, all the LGBTQ community who is hurting from yet another hate crime. All the people whose lives were lost and all the people whose lives are dramatically changed because of this. And so let's take a minute and send that love to all of them. Thank you. And it's true. What we do here makes a difference. And it's important to acknowledge and to process and to feel the grief whenever some tragedy like this happens. But it's also important for us to be vigilant at our spiritual practice. Because more hate is not going to transform the world and stop things like this from happening. The only thing that will is love. The only thing that will. And when we're talking here every Sunday about this idea of radical gratitude, that's exactly when it needs to show up. Can I be grateful in the midst of tragedy? Can I be a force for love in this world? Can I find places in me where I have been resentful and harboring grudges? And can I forgive and let go? Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the most transformative action you can do, is to live a life that is an example of love and possibility and harmony. To uplift other people because of the love that you are. Because in the face of tragedy, we say, my God is bigger than this. And I'm willing to believe in a world that is about love. I'm willing to believe in a world where we are truly taking actions. Where this can be a world that works for everyone. No matter what, if you're lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. Whether your ethnicity, your history, your age, your economic status. None of that really matters because we're all humans. Although all of that does affect us and the world we're walking through. And so how can we be the greatest humans possible on this planet? How can we be the most loving and most inclusive when other people are out there doing the opposite? There is no other message that's more important than the message of love. And so today we're going to talk about radical gratitude. As a matter of fact, this book, Grateful, I have two books that I've been reading for our topics this month. One is Radical Gratitude, which I love. And this other one is Grateful, the subversive practice of giving thanks. Subversive. I know. You rebels, you. Well, I have a story to tell you about. When I was in 6th grade, I went to, I had this great PE teacher. His name was Mr. Greaves. And Mr. Greaves encouraged all the people in his PE class to sign up for, I was living in Las Vegas at the time, to sign up for the Turkey Trot, which was a 10K run that was happening for the entire city. And so I being like yes, I'm going to try everything I can do that's different and challenge myself kind of person. So I signed up for the turkey trot. And so every day at lunch, I would be running around the track that we had and in Matt Kelly's 6th grade center. And every day I was training for this race. Now, I was only able to train for 3 miles. The 10K is 6.2 miles, if you don't know. So the turkey trot is 10K. And so I just trained for 3 miles. I didn't train for 6 miles, but I thought, I can do it. And it came to the race, and I was doing good for the first 3 miles. And then mile 4 came, and I'm like, and you know what came to it was a run, and then it was kind of a jog, and then it was a walk, and then it was like a drag. And it was really hard for me. And this man at mile 4, he kind of slowly jogged past me, and he was a big man. I mean, he was tall, but he was big in all areas. He was very, very large. And he just passed me right up. And then he looked back at me, dragging my feet. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Not so well." He said, and so he kind of slowed down and he jogged next to me. He said, "Come on." And he started telling me jokes. And so I started jogging next to him. And for the rest of the time, this man told me jokes. And he encouraged me the whole way. I actually don't know what his name is. And he helped me pass the finish line for that turkey trot. Right when I needed it, right when I was feeling the downest, there was a person of love and encouragement who showed up right next to me. And I knew that he was like really beet red and sweating. Like it was a lot for him. And I don't know if you know, but like running and talking at the same time is really hard. And yet he did that for me. He was my angel. And whenever I passed the finish line, I had a great, joyful family celebrate me. And it didn't matter like where I was in the running or anything. But as it turned out, I got 4th place in my age group for the entire city of Las Vegas. But I couldn't have done it without him. I couldn't have done it without him. So I wonder, who are you in this world? If you had one word to sum up you, what would it be? One word. What? Somebody said something. Love. What else? I heard somebody else too. Bright. Yeah. So in the book of Radical Gratitude, she says, our lives give way to our words. Each one of us has at least one significant word to say about our lives. This word is who we really are and who we are meant to become. It is our calling in this world. So if you know your word online, share it. Tell us your words. What is your word? As a matter of fact, if you could describe this community in one word, what would it be? Connection? Joy? Yeah. All of those online also share that word. You're part of our community too. And if you could sum up our country in a word, what would it be? United? Yeah. Determined. For me, my word would be joy. That would be my word. For my turkey trot angel, I describe him as an uplifter. For Mary Jo Letty, It's grateful. This is so important. And this is not something that's new. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. And the Bible and the book of Psalms, the whole premise is gratitude. I will give thanks to you forever. And I will give thanks with my whole heart. The book of Psalms. Martin Luther writes of gratitude as the heart of the gospel. It's not really just an attitude, but it's a virtue to be practiced in the world. In the Quran, they say, whoever gives thanks benefits his own soul. So last week we talked about the way to really embrace radical gratitude, which is our monthly theme, is to stop taking life for granted. And to recognize that this very moment, whatever you're going through, that this very moment is enough. I am enough. That what we are provided for is enough at this moment. Because so much of our seeking is because we feel like I'm not enough. I don't have enough. I can't be enough. I need more. But what if contained in this moment is the wholeness and the perfection of life? Exactly as it's happening now. Can we get to that place? So my invitation last week was to take it on as a hero's journey. I said, what kind of challenges are going to await you if you're going on your own hero's journey? Well, today we have our own challenge. And many of you might have your own personal challenges that you're dealing with. But the question is, who are you going to be in that challenge? Is your word going to come through? The truth is, our lives are defined by the stories that we choose to dwell on. And when we focus on the obstacles and the struggles and failed relationships and all of our family disputes and the setbacks we have in our career, which all happen, but when we continue to focus on that, we continue to get more of what we're focusing on. Diana had a friend named Elizabeth. Diana from this book. Grateful. She had a friend named Elizabeth. Now, she really liked Elizabeth. And Elizabeth was super amazing because she was generous and she was funny and she was born in wealth. She was born in wealth. She had everything. She had, she inherited a bunch of wealth from her family. She had a couple of cars, brand new cars. She had a great career that she was doing great in. And she had everything. And so Diana really was like, oh my God, I can't believe she loves being my friend. I'm so honored that she's my friend. And the other thing that Elizabeth also had was a lot of negativity. She always talked about her challenges and her difficulties and the cross she had to bear living this life. And one day, Diana woke up to the fact that all of her conversations were like competitions. When Diana said, oh, I'm having this financial challenge, well, Elizabeth would say, oh my God, well, you wouldn't believe what happened to me a couple years ago, that this happened. And then Diana would talk about this other relationship she had that was failing. And Elizabeth would be like, well, you wouldn't believe what happened to me with this person and that person and my family. Oh my God. And it was like a competition of who has it worse. And they ended up losing their friendship. Now, maybe that might resonate with you. Maybe you might have a friend like that, or maybe that's you, where every time you hear somebody else's struggles, all you do is talk about, my struggles are worse. What are you focusing on? Now, we all have struggles. And this is not a teaching where we're pretending like we don't have struggles. I just want to make that clear. Or we're not allowed to have feelings. It is totally okay to have feelings about what you're going through. And it's okay to process your feelings in a safe space, a therapist or a practitioner. Finding a place where you can know, you know what, if I'm going to say that really inappropriate thing, I'm going to say it in a safe space where I'm not going to do it right in front of that person where I'm going to harm. But I'm going to allow myself the freedom to process through my emotions. Because spiritual bypass is this whole idea where we're like, oh, crap is happening on the planet, and I'm just going to ignore it. That's spiritual bypass. We're not ignoring it. It is real. And everything that's happening on the planet right now is a manifestation of a collective group of people and how they're thinking, behaving, and believing. And you can contribute to that, or you can be a group of people that is thinking, behaving, and believing that there's a different possibility. Because movements happen both ways. The question is, if you want to be a force for good in this world, or do you just want to be a force? Now, I want to be a force for good in this world. And sometimes that means that I do need to recognize and process my own behaviors. As a matter of fact, it's even greater if I recognize and process my own behaviors and sometimes see when I'm contributing to the problem. The road less traveled is the one where we look within, because it's so easy to look out there and say, well, that's the problem with the world. That's the problem with the world. Well, great. You know what? You can't change out there. You can only change you. And you can only be an example of possibility for other people. That's the only way we're going to change this world. So you have to be willing to take responsibility of, where am I in this? How can I make a contribution? And maybe, how can I look at myself so that if any way, shape, or form I am contributing to hate, or I notice that I am uncomfortable with people who are different from me, that I can look at that and grow through it. We have this thing where it's like there's headwinds and there's tailwinds. So the headwinds, when you're running through a race, right, and there's a headwind, you feel it. And it's like hard to slough through. Have you ever been on I remember that one time I went to, I think it was Kauai or something, and I was on top of a mountain, and it was like winds that were like 70 miles per hour going. I was like leaning into them, and I could barely walk. Well, that's headwinds. And then there's tailwinds. So that way it's like if it's going, it's actually like pushing you forward. Now, we notice the headwinds because they're so hard and difficult to press through. But do we notice all the tailwinds when we get them? Are we paying attention to all the blessings? Are we noticing when miracles are happening? Are we focusing on how many times we have been pushed forward through the tailwinds? So both happen. And yes, we do have challenges, and it is really good to recognize the challenges and to notice who we are in the midst of them. But it's also good to notice when the tailwinds are happening. My wife and I do a gratitude practice, and we go on a walk and we talk about what we're grateful for. This is a great gratitude practice. You talk about in the moment, what are you grateful for? And then you talk about your future gratitudes as if they're happening now. Well, one of the things that she mentioned that she was grateful for was that we don't have ants anymore in our house. And I was like, wow, it's been a while since I thought of that. We had like a little, a little army of ants who had collectively decided that the inside of our house was just as good as the outside of our house, and we had to invite them out. And they're not there anymore. But I hadn't thought of it. It's like, how many things that I'm taking for granted that I haven't thought of today? One thing that I recognize is that if I only focus on the headwinds, often I can be a person of resentment. Now, if you're harboring resentments in your life right now, if there's somebody or something or a group of people that you are resenting, this is the place for you to do your spiritual work. Now, the counteract resentment, there's two things: forgiveness and gratitude. That's how you counteract resentment. Forgiveness and gratitude, where you let things go, not because that person deserves it or that group of people deserve it, but because you want to live a life of joy, and you will not let that person take their power away from you. Because imagine people who are incarcerated right now, who might have harmed or victimized or killed somebody. They're human beings too. And do you know why human beings do that? Because something harmed or maimed or damaged their lives. And they're just continuing the process. I've met people, I've counseled people who have killed others. And they're human beings with a heart and a soul as well. Can we bring it to the place where we can forgive people for their harmful actions? Where Jesus had said, forgive them, they know not what they do. Can we give that love, that level of love, to people who are harmful? To people who actually might be out there trying to harm us or our ethnicity or our sexual orientation or gender identity. We get to be the people who say, no, I live in a world of love, and I will be that example of love and possibility even in the midst of this. Anybody read Robinson Crusoe? The book is 300 years old. 300 years. And the whole point of the book is where there was a man, Robinson Crusoe. He became marooned alone on an unknown island. He was shipwrecked, the only survivor, all by himself. But instead of giving in to despair, he decided to choose gratitude. He decided to start listing things he was grateful for. He decided that gratitude was more important than living in the suffering and victimization. And it completely transformed his life. He was able to, in the midst of terrible circumstances, live a life where he felt grateful and honored to be alive. Where every little thing meant some gift of God. Every time something washed up from the shipwreck, it was a gift. Now, do we see everything in our life as a gift, no matter how big or small? Do we need to have a shipwreck in our life to have that happen? No. I challenge you to really take this on as if your life depended on it. Because not only your life depends on it, but everybody's life depends on it. Gratitude is one of the most transforming factors in the world, and the root of gratitude is love. The basis of it is love. So when we focus on things we're grateful for, it's interesting because we tend to be more happy in our lives. Anybody here want more happiness? Just checking. A couple of you. No, just kidding. There's evidence that counting our blessings is one of the best habits we can develop to help with mental and physical pain. That gratitude actually helps release pain out of our body. That writing thank you notes can uplift our mental attitude. So when you're feeling down, what if? Now, I know I do this all the time. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to be grateful. I'm mad. I'm upset. Why do I have to do this thing? But I do, and then I feel better. Sometimes I'm so attached to being angry that I'm like, ugh. Nobody's like that, apparently. Okay. So here's how you do it. The first thing is to begin before you're ready. Well, I'll start this gratitude practice tomorrow. No, today. Today is the day. If you're doing it, I encourage you to up it because the world needs it. So begin today. Aristotle wrote that one learned what justice was by practicing justice. One learned what beauty was by exposing oneself to beauty. One learned what goodness was by doing good. And we too can learn about gratitude by practicing the attitude of gratitude. So you have enough. You are enough. This moment is enough. So the second thing I want you to do is to create a gratitude practice. If you don't have one, start now. You can use mine. Start with, you can either write it down or talk. My wife and I go on a walk, we talk. But you can write it down every day. 5 things you're grateful for in this moment. Things you might not even think about. I am so grateful I'm breathing right now. I'm so grateful I woke up. I am so grateful for the beautiful sun outside. I'm so grateful for fall, for the colors that are around me. I am so grateful for the feeling that I get when I'm in community. I am so grateful. That's the first thing. The second thing is to do advanced gratitudes. Things that you are grateful for as if in the future, as if they're happening now. I am so grateful now that I live in a world that works for everyone. I'm so grateful to recognize that I see love everywhere. I'm so grateful that the news is all about the good works that are happening in the world. I am so grateful that I live in a world where people are respectful of our differences and actually honor them and celebrate them in ways that I can't even imagine. But it's so good to see it every day. I am so grateful now that I have the life of my dreams, that I live in the community that I am inspired by, that I live in a country that moves me to grace, to love, to peace, that I live in a world that respects and honors its resources. Future gratitudes. And if you want to get really extra good, this is my challenge for you. Appreciate things that have worked out for you previously. No, appreciate things that upset you previously, but now you notice it worked out for you. Now you noticed it worked out for. Have you ever had that happen? You're like, oh, in the moment, it's like the biggest tragedy in the world. And now you're like, well, I'm kind of grateful that happened. I'm kind of grateful that my ex broke up with me because I have my wife now and she's pretty phenomenal. It was a tragedy when it happened. I was a mess. But who knew that God had somebody better in store? All of those things that seem like tragedies. And if you want to go an extra step, it's find out what the difficulties are in this world right now and how you can be grateful for them. You know, the amazing thing about September 11th was the hundreds and thousands and millions of people who took action in alignment with love. There was just a couple of people who did some big damage and harm. But how many people did acts of love after that? I'm grateful for all the people in the world who step in and act in alignment with love. I'm grateful for the people who subdued the gunman at that club, risking their own lives. I'm grateful for the amount of love and appreciation from around the world that is pouring in right now, knowing that truly we are saying that today is a different day. Today I have shifted, and because I have shifted, there's a ripple effect that goes across humanity. That's the kind of gratitude I want you to think about, to speak about, to talk about, to write about, to be about today. So, if you could describe your word, what would it be? And who do you choose to be right now? Let's pray. I recognize and know that this place that I am in is a place where God ordained each and every one of us as co-creators with the divine, where it said, I love you so much, I want you to choose what you want for this life. And so today is a day that I choose love. Today is a day that I choose to be grateful, that I don't take my life for granted, that I don't take the people in this community for granted, that I don't take the people in my country for granted or in the world for granted, that truly, that this is a day where something has awakened in me to allow me to really feel the sense of freedom that gratitude gives me. True freedom, true liberation from hatred, from anger, from distrust, from this idea that somebody else is separate than me. Today, I recognize that every person is a part of me. And so if there's any parts of me that I don't love, today, I say I love you to all the parts of me. I let go all of the walls and the resentments. I let them go. And I embody what it's like to be love. To be love. To be love today. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the love that I am. I'm grateful for the love that we are. I'm grateful for the love that the infinite presence and power is through us. I'm grateful for the love that is pouring in for each and every person who is hurting right now. And I'm grateful that my planet, that my life is a life of love. I take it in, I embody it. I am it. I'm the fulfillment of it right here and right now. And so it is.